Have you ever tried to set goals for yourself only to find that at the end of the year, when you review the progress that you've made, you actually haven't achieved anything that you set out to? This is something that I have absolutely fallen into the trap of in many years gone by, until I learned this formula that I'm going to share with you today. You see, most coaches and most individuals or business owners end up setting these huge audacious goals in January, and they don't have a real tangible strategy to set about achieving them. So grab yourself a brew, guys. Let's get comfortable and let's get stuck into this episode today. So the name for this is a quarterly quest, and I actually hijacked this from Mr. Ali Abdaal, but this is something that I've been doing for a while now. I just never called it a quarterly quest previously. But essentially, we're going to look at a way that we can chunk your goals down into much more bite-sized, actionable tasks for you to set out on a 12-week, 90-day basis. So as I said previously, most coaches set themselves these big yearly goals and they end up falling short. And the reason that they fall short is the goals that they set themselves are so huge that they become a little bit overwhelming, and they're not unable to chunk those goals down into something that's slightly more achievable in a shorter time frame. So the big idea is that we create these achievable quarterly quests, these things that we can focus on for short sprints over a 90-day period, so that we can reverse engineer what are the actual behaviors and habits that need to be installed to actually achieve those quarterly quests, and then ultimately the bigger yearly goals. So the first thing that I want to introduce you to here is something that is called the Wheel of Life. And this was actually shown to me by a client and good friend of mine, Mr. Tom Ford. Go and check him out on Instagram. He puts out amazing content, all things life coaching. And the Wheel of Life is essentially an auditing tool. It's something that you can sit down and have a read through and think about very consciously to score yourself in certain areas of life. So you can see here we've got health and well-being, we've got personal development, we've got your relationships, personal finances, and business. Now, business might not be relevant to you, but most of the people who watch this content and watch this channel are business owners. And all we would simply do here is score ourselves on a scale of 1 to 9 in each of those areas. You might be asking yourself, Ollie, why on earth would you score yourself 1 to 9 and not 1 to 10? Well, when I was creating this graphic, I missed the line out, and so we're rocking with 9. So all I would simply do is I would grab a pen and I'd say, okay, I'm probably at like an 8 right now for health and well-being. You know, I'm training jiu-jitsu 6 to 8 hours a week, plus I'm getting 2 resistance training sessions in. I'm in pretty good shape for someone who's 35 years old. I'm in a good place here. Could it be better? Yes, my nutrition could be a bit more dialed in, but I'm going to score myself quite highly in the health and well-being section. Personal development, how much time and energy are you putting into developing your skills, whether that's enrolling on courses, watching educational YouTube videos like this, reading books, listening to books, attending masterminds. Score yourself in your personal development. How well are you doing in the area of developing and growing as an individual? So I might score myself a 9 here. You know, I'm all over it. I'm on lots of courses right now. I'm working with mentors. I'm attending masterminds regularly. So I'm scoring myself highly there. Relationships. So this isn't just your intimate relationships with your spouse. This can be your friendships. You know, are you upkeeping relationships with people who are important to you? It might be family members, your parents, could be your siblings. But, you know, how much effort have you been putting into maintaining healthy relationships? Because that is ultimately incredibly important to us as human beings, is that we uphold good relationships. Now, I'm actually going to score myself honestly on this YouTube video and say that this could be a lot better. My relationship with my kids and my partner is incredibly good, but my relationships in terms of friends and staying on top of that has been poor lately. So I'm going to score myself like a 6 here. Personal finances. You know, there's a difference between how well your business is doing, but how you are doing personally in your financial situation. And this is often the hardest thing for people to score themselves on, especially if you're a Brit like myself. British people are typically really, really bad at having open, honest conversations about their finances, even when it's with themselves. You know, going into the bank account, looking at what's going in and what's going out, and having that difficult chat about, am I in a good place here, or do I need to make significant changes, can be really tough. But if we want to get on top of these things and set goals that are going to move us forwards in all of these areas, we first need to know what our baseline is. What is our starting point? What is the datum point for that we are working from? So score yourself in personal finances. I'm going to score myself like an 8 here. And then last but certainly not least, business. You know, is the business growing? Have you been making progress? Do you feel in alignment with what you're doing? Do you feel like you're leaving lots on the table? Again, these are all questions that you can ask yourselves as a bit of an audit to see where you're at in these areas. So again, I'll score myself here. Now, this is essentially just an auditing tool. Like I said, this is going to help you have that conversation internally so that when we move forwards into the goal setting practice, we know potentially where we might be focusing most of our attention, right? So for me, and this is just an example, this isn't real, right? But for me, you can see that my relationships section probably needs the most work. So I should be mindful of that when I go into my goal setting practices and creating my quarterly quests, as I will in a second. You can see that my personal development and my health and well-being are all in a really good place. And so maybe I don't need to place as much focus and attention there. Maybe it's business is the second place that I want to put my focus into. So this is another thing that I took from Tom Ford. He's going to hate me for this. I'm stealing all of his best ideas, but again, giving him all of the credit for this. But this was really incredible when he showed us this analogy at a recent mastermind event that I attended. And it was this idea that the magic of goal setting isn't necessarily the goals themselves that you set. So if you imagine like this cylinder here and you place all of your goals inside the cylinder, it's not actually the goals themselves that make us better people. It's the habits and the rituals and the routines that you have to fill into the cup to achieve those goals that drive us forwards and make us better people. So on the journey, on the quest of achieving these things, it's the habits and the rituals and the routines and the behaviors that you install along the way that are going to develop you as an individual. So this is really, really powerful stuff. If you've never set yourself goals previously and you think it's all a little bit airy-fairy or wishy-washy, I urge you to try it, because you'll notice along the way of setting out achieving those goals, you become a better person in the process. So we're going to use a really simple and very well-known concept for goal setting. We're going to use the SMART goals concept: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, a lot of people have actually been shitting on this approach for setting goals, but honestly, I have never found a better way of setting your goals than using the SMART goals formula. It's very, very good. Now, if you think about a bad goal, it's the opposite of all of these things. So what people will tend to do as they head into the new year, or they're setting goals whenever it might be, but it's typically in the new year that people do this, they'll set these big audacious goals, but they're not specific, they're not measurable, they're not even achievable because they haven't broken it down, and they might not even be relevant. Like, why do they want to achieve that thing? So this is a great way of ensuring that when we create these quarterly quests, which we're going to do in just a moment, there's a purpose for setting those goals and that you can actually measure the progress that you're making. Okay, so a bad example of a goal might be, I want to get in the best shape of my life in 2025. That's probably a goal that a lot of people will set for themselves when the new year rolls around. I want to get in the best shape of my life. Okay, it's a bit arbitrary, it's a bit vague, it's not specific, and it makes it difficult for us to hit that goal because we failed at the first hurdle. The goal that we set for ourselves wasn't following the SMART principles. So what might be a better way of looking at this for our quarterly quest and chunking down that goal of getting in the best shape of our lives? We might say in the first quarter, so in the first 90 days, I want to lose 5 kg of fat. That might be my first quarterly quest. So when we refer back to our SMART goals, is it specific? Yes, 5 kgs of fat. I want to lose 5 kgs of fat. Is it measurable? Yeah, I jump on the scales on the 1st of January. I jump on the scales 3 months down the line in 12 weeks. And if I've lost the 5 kgs, I know that I can say that, yes, I've achieved that goal. Is it achievable? Is it, something that is possible? Like if I'd set myself the goal of losing 100 kgs of body fat in 90 days, then is it achievable? No. But 5 kgs, absolutely, it's achievable. Is it relevant? Like, what is the specific reason? Maybe I scored poorly on the wheel of life as it relates to health and well-being. Maybe that's an area that I need to place a lot of focus and attention to. Maybe that's going to give me more energy, more confidence. Maybe that's going to help me show up in my relationships as a better individual if I lose that 5 kgs of body fat. So is it relevant? Absolutely. Hell yeah, it's relevant. And is it time bound? Yes. I'm going to do it in 12 weeks. So in Q1. So there we go. We've got our first SMART goal principle quarterly quest written down. Though it's all well and good having the quarterly quest in front of you and you know what it is that you're going to be working towards, what makes this really powerful is if you start to think straight out of the gate, what are the behaviors and habits that I need to achieve this? So what are the things that I need to do day to day to make this quarterly quest come to fruition in 12 weeks from now? So you just start to list down what these habits and behaviors are. I'm going to track my calories daily and I'm going to stay in a calorie deficit, right? I'm going to train in the gym, non-negotiable, 3 days a week. I'm going to weigh myself daily so that I can track my progress, right? I'm going to drink at least 3 liters of water daily. And I'm gonna only have one off-plan meal per week. So like eating out with friends, family, whatever that looks like, right? You get the idea. The point is that yes, we want to identify what these mini quarterly quests are that ultimately push you towards that larger goal for the year, which is to be in the best shape of your life. Yes, we want to use the SMART principles to make it specific, measurable, all of those things. But you also want to identify and pull out from that what are the behaviors and habits that you need to install on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for you to achieve that quarterly quest. We can then do this for all of your quarterly quests. So I would recommend setting no more than 3 or 4. 3 really is amazing. 3 things that you can focus on every single week for that first quarter or whatever quarter it is and work towards, which is ultimately going to feed into your big goal for the year. Okay, 3 key things. Now, what you probably want to do as well to make sure that you stay on track and you don't become a little bit wayward and lose sight of what it is that you're hoping to do is check in with yourself on a weekly basis. And I really kind of recommend 2 check-in points. The first would be at the start of the week where you set your focus and intentions for the week. So you can ask yourself the question of what are the most important things that I need to get done this week to move me towards my quarterly quests. Now, you might find that week on week, this is a little bit repetitive. Perhaps the things that are popping up are the same, but there will be changes. You know, certain things are going to take priority over other things as the time goes on. So have this little check-in point with you. It could be a note in your diary, in your calendar, that just reminds you to take a moment to sit down and write down what are the 3 most important things that you need to work on this week to move you towards those quarterly quests. And then you can have another check-in point at the end of the week where you essentially review how you've performed. You know, it's kind of like holding yourself to a higher standard and being accountable to yourself, because before you know it, if you let 1 week slip and then 2 weeks slip and then 3 weeks slip, you're so far behind on achieving those quarterly quests that you set out for yourself that it all just kind of dwindles away and you end up not achieving anything for the year. So by having these micro check-ins and reviews with yourself every single week, where it sounds stupid, but you literally sit down with yourself and you ask yourself the question, did I achieve the things that I set out to achieve this week? Yes or no? You're holding yourself to that account. Okay, it feels pretty stupid if you're going to sit down with yourself every single week and say, no, I did not, must do better, must try harder. One of the things with goal setting and achieving goals, whatever that might be, whether it's in your personal life or professional life, is you have to hold yourself to a standard. Nobody is going to do it for you. This is why coaching is so powerful. It's almost like relinquishing control and paying for the accountability to get the job done. But the better that you can be at being accountable to yourself, the better your life is going to be. If you can make a decision and act upon that decision without needing somebody breathing over your shoulder and telling you what to do, you will go unbelievably far in life. Anyway, guys, I hope this video has been useful for you. If you're going to be setting your goals, please use this formula. Follow the quarterly quest process. It's an absolute game changer. If you want these worksheets, then please do just drop me a message on Instagram. Tell me that you would like the quarterly quest worksheets and I'll happily send them to you, no questions asked. And also, if you feel like you need some support with your coaching business, then make sure you're dropping a subscribe on this channel, because we've got loads of informative videos coming over the coming days and weeks. And if you do want some more hands-on support with your coaching business, then just follow the links in the description to apply to work with us at Supercharged Fit Pro. Speak to you soon, champs.